Hi, this is Cami again with another booktube video. Today I'm going to be recommending my favorite standalone books. Now, this is defined by a book that it doesn't have a sequel, it's not a prequel, you can just read it by itself, it's its own story. Most of these are kind of like contemporary, but some of them are kind of fantasy-esque. So yeah, let's get started. My first one is Coraline by Neil Gaiman, and you might remember the movie from a few years ago. That movie is actually pretty close to the book. There are a few things, but I'm not here to do a movie to book comparison. This is a really good book. It's pretty short. It's creepy. It's so good. I love this book. It's really good. So Coraline by Neil Gaiman. My next one, sorry, that was something falling, is Little Woman by Louisa May Alcott. Yeah, it's an old boring classic, but this is actually a really good book, and it's kind of sad in some parts. And though it did have a sequel, you can read it by itself and not really miss much because it's kind of like a biography. I like the cover too. Look, it's got some of the best cover art for any book I've ever seen. It's just this really cool full cover thing going on. So yeah, Little Woman by Louisa May Alcott. And then for the next one I have is Another Day as Emily by Eileen Spinelli. This is kind of a kid's book. It's kind of about this girl who she feels like she's kind of alone, everyone kind of rejects her, she never gets as much attention as she used to, but she's at this thing at her library during the summer. It's called Tween Time, and basically what it is, they have to pick a historical character from the 1800s, and she picks Emily Dickinson. And she really likes her, which she's kind of weird because she's the opposite of her in all respects. She's a tomboy, but she decides she's going to be a recluse, like Emily Dickinson. And it's a really cool one, and it reads very quickly. You could probably read it in an hour, because it's written in verse. But this is the front page. Here. That is the first page, and it reads so quickly. I read it all last night for the third time. So yes, Another Day as Emily by Eileen Spinelli. Next one I have is Neverwhere, which is also by Neil Gaiman, and this one is kind of one that's more written for adults rather than kids or young adults, but it's okay for teenagers to read because I read it. Obviously, my dad read it, and first actually, and it's really good. It's about this guy who's just a normal, your average Joe office worker. And one day he sees this girl on the sidewalk and she's bleeding, and he stops to help her, and he gets this sucked into this other world that's a world underneath our world, and the people there don't exist, and it's really interesting and very good, and I definitely recommend this one, Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. And I love the cover too. It's got this really cool shimmery thing going on. You see this part right here, a tunnel, woo. Next one is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and I call this one the mother of dystopian sci-fi because it was there before The Giver, before The Hunger Games, before any of those books came out. The only one I think that really came before that was 1984 by George Orwell, but I've never read that one. The only George Orwell book I've read is Animal Farm, but that's for another time. That's also a really good book. It's in this alternate reality. There's actually it's kind of the future, really more, and it's supposed to be the 2020s because this was written in the 70s before they really knew about the 2020s. And instead of firemen, books are kind of outlawed, and firemen, instead of putting out fires, they go to people's houses who have books and burn them. And this one guy, he's like, oh yeah, it seems like it's all good. But then he finds out that, he finds, hey, this isn't so bad, and people weren't so stupid, and people don't get, injured and he starts getting books and then he's discovered. And I can't spoil too much because I just told you like half the plot. Yeah. What was it called? Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. The next one is also a Ray Bradbury book. He wrote a lot of standalones. He's probably one of the best. He is the best writer out there. Like, he is amazing. Like, you should read him. He has, like, oh my gosh. But Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury. And this one is about, like, it's more like, it's a bunch of, like, short stories that are, like, more connected. Kind of like Because of Winn-Dixie. But, it's about, like, this one kid's summer, and it's about, there are some kind of fantasy elements to it, but I would call it more like a realistic contemporary fiction thing, and it's really good. So, yeah, Dandelion Wine by Neil Gaiman. Not Neil Gaiman. Ray Bradbury. Sorry, brain fart. And, the last one is Something Wicked This Way Comes, which also is by Ray Bradbury. This is not my last book. It's my last Ray Bradbury book. After this, I'm done with him. And it's about like this carnival that comes to this town, and it's kind of like a weird, creepy carnival, and all these weird things start happening, and these two boys who are best friends like start finding out, and they kind of start investigating. It's really good. It's so good, and I don't have any of those with me because I lent Fahrenheit 451 to my friend. I lent Dandelion Wine to my other friend, and we can't find Something Wicked This Way Comes. It's my dad's book. But yeah. The next one I have is Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli, who is the husband of the lady who wrote Another Day as Emily. And it's about this like normal school where it's kind of boring. They don't have a lot of teen spirit. Like, they're not very like exciting school. But then there's this girl. Her name is Stargirl Caraway, and her actual name is not Stargirl. You'll find out what her real name is in the book. And she's very energetic. She's one of the nicest people there. She dresses very interestingly, and she plays ukulele for people on their birthday, and she cheers for the other opposite team. And this one guy who's like the protagonist of the book kind of starts falling in love with her. It's a really good book. It's also a really short book. So yeah, Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. And the last one is another Jerry Spinelli book. He's a really good writer. And I've only read like those two, but it's Smiles to Go, and it's about this kid who finds this he doesn't find it. I'm sorry. He here's the thing, he's a very he likes science a lot, and he hears about this is totally fictional, but like protons are like kind of like protons die, so he's like, so it's kind of like, I don't quite know how to explain the plot. It's a weird plot. It's about this, you're just gonna have to read it, but it's funny, it's romantic, it's dramatic, it's sad, it's happy, it's a really good book. So yeah, Smiles to Go by Jerry Spinelli. Okay, that was it for today. Thank you to all 4 of my subscribers. You know who you are. Yes. So thank you so much for subscribing. Tell your friends, tell your classmates, if that's the kind of thing, tell your family, tell your goldfish, I don't care. So yeah, thank you. Bye.